Well, hi everybody. Welcome to our pancake making class. So today I'm going to talk you through making pancakes. So we're doing this because on Tuesday of next week during half term is what we call Pancake Tuesday or Shrove Tuesday. And we thought, well, if we were in school, we'd be making pancakes. So why not? Let's see if we can try and do them at home. And I'm really hoping at the end that you will send me a photograph of your pancakes that you have made. So I have put the list up, but just so you know, you're going to need a measuring jug. You're going to need a pancake pan or a frying pan of some description. If flatter, the better. You're going to need a hand whisk. You can use a wooden spoon, but a hand whisk is probably easier and you get a better batter out of it. You're going to need a sieve. Not essential, but it's a good way of getting a bit of air into your mixture. A fish slice for when we get to the cooking the pancakes. A mixing bowl. And then optional, I suppose, just a cup which you can put a bit of butter in and melt in the microwave if you have a microwave, and a pastry brush, and again that's for cooking a little bit later on. And then a plate that can go into the oven. So if you wanted to keep your pancakes warm, so while you cook through all the batter to keep them warm and then eat them, you can have a plate, a baking tray, anything that will go into the oven without getting like melting or anything like that. So don't put plastic in, obviously. Ingredients wise, you are going to need 100 grams of flour, 1 egg, and 250 milliliters of milk. Now, this makes quite a thin batter. So if you prefer a slightly thicker pancake, then you can obviously reduce the amount of milk. It makes about 6 or 7 pancakes, this batch. So if there's more of you in your family or you want to make more, then obviously you can double up. So that would be 202 eggs and 500 milliliters. But again, the thickness of the pancakes will depend on how much milk you put in. So this makes quite a thin sort of crepe type pancake batter in there. So that is the ingredients you're going to need. Obviously a little bit of butter or oil for your pan so that your pancakes don't stick on the pan. And then whatever toppings that you would like. So maybe you're a Nutella person, or maybe you're a lemon and sugar person, or maybe you are fruit, bananas, maybe caramelized bananas, a little bit of banana and butter and sugar together. Maybe you're a savory pancake person and you'd like to put a little bit of ham and cheese in, or whatever. The world is your oyster. You go for whatever topping you would like to have with that. Okay, so before we start to cook, of course, we always wash our hands and we put on an apron and we tie up our hair if we have long hair. So if you go and do that now. Okay, everyone, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take the flour and sieve the flour into your mixing bowl. So that's, if you remember, the 100 grams of flour, and you're going to sieve it into your mixing bowl. Sieving adds a little bit of air into the mixture and just gets a nice, light, fluffy texture. And then what you're going to do is just create a little well in the center of your mixture in there. And you're going to crack the egg. Now, of course, when we've cracked the egg, we've handled raw egg. So again, we should always wash our hands after doing that. So when you're back after washing your hands, what you want to do is you want to take about half the milk and pour it in on top of the egg. Then you're going to take the hand whisk, and as I said, if you don't have a hand whisk, that's fine. You can just use a wooden spoon. It's just the hand whisk sometimes helps break up the lumps a little bit in the flour. So what you're going to do is just slowly bring the sides of the flour in to the mixture. And then you start to add a little bit more of the milk. And so we continue to see as we go through, we bring the flour that is at the sides back into the center of the mixing bowl and start to bring in all the different bits of the flour. A little bit more milk in. Slowly getting now nearly all the flour in from the sides. And the last little bit of the milk in then. And what we want to do is just kind of whisk and bring the batter together. Make sure there's no kind of lumps of flour left. If for any reason it has gone lumpy and you have an electric hand blender at home, you could always use the hand blender to make sure it's a really smooth batter. But you should be fine. And if there's one or two little lumps of flour, it's not too bad. You'll always get a bit in there. So you're going to bring that all together. Again, just checking if I got all the flour in that. Obviously, as I'm whisking it, I've also whisked in a little bit more air in as I've gone. So I should be getting a nice light batter out of that. So you can see it is quite thin. It's quite a liquid batter. But that's the way we like these pancakes here. So then what I would do, the easiest way to do is actually pour your batter back in to your mixing bowl, into your measuring jug. If you have a spatula, you can get the last little bits of the batter in. And I just put it back into my measuring jug because it makes it easier when I come to cook the pancakes to pour it in. If you have a ladle, you can use a ladle as well. So it doesn't really matter. But I find the measuring jug is the easiest way of doing that. Okay, so that is your batter made. So now we're going to go over and start cooking them. Okay, everyone, so we're going to cook our pancakes now. And so the first thing that you're going to do is put your pancake pan or your frying pan onto the ring. Try and choose a ring that is suitable for the size of the pan. And one of the important things when you're making pancakes is what we call pan management. So keeping the right amount of heat underneath the pan. So you want to let the pan heat up a little bit. So you're talking to probably starting off at a slightly medium to high temperature. So on the cookers that we have here, I'd be talking about starting at a number 4, and then once the pan is heated up, maybe after the first pancake, I'd probably be turning it down to maybe 3. I'll see how it gets on. The other thing that I would do is I would put the oven on to maybe its lowest setting, maybe just about 100 degrees Celsius. That's if I want to keep them, the pancakes warm while I cook the rest of them. I'd have my plate ready to go, which will then go into the oven. And of course, I'd have my oven gloves as well ready so that when I'm putting things in and out of the oven, I'm using oven gloves. Also, probably what I would do is take a little bit of grease-proof paper so that I can put them in between each of the pancakes. So as my pan starts to heat up, I'm going to use my cup where I've melted just a little bit of butter, maybe just 5 or 10 grams of butter, and I'm going to use the pastry brush to put it onto the pan. Now, you can use oil here, either. It doesn't have to be butter. Butter gives a little bit of a nice flavour in. And what again I'm looking for is to see the fat bubble a little bit. If I put the mixture on when the pan is too cold, it just doesn't really cook properly. And the first one is always the most difficult one to do. Let's just give my batter a little bit of a stir. I can see that the fat now is beginning to bubble a little bit on the pan. So we'll give it a try and see how we get on. So I'm going to pour the batter on and then spread it out a little bit. I probably don't spread it all the way to the edge because it just makes when I come to flip it a little bit easier if I have a little bit of space around the edge to be able to do that. So hopefully you can see it's beginning to cook. I'm not sure how flat this pancake pan was, but anyway, beginning to cook. And as I said, the first one is definitely the one where you need the most patience for. You want to make sure that it's nicely cooked on the underside before you try flipping it over. Otherwise, it does kind of get all a bit mushy and stick. So we'll see how we do here. So just in case you're not aware, Shrove Tuesday, it's probably a Christian tradition, although most people take it on board, no matter what your religious beliefs. It's always the day before Lent starts. So Lent is 40 days of fasting in the Christian calendar in the run-up to Easter. So it's the idea of preparing people for Easter time, and people would fast. And so what they used to do on Shrove Tuesday, which was the day before Lent started, they would get rid of all the kind of eggs and flour and milk that would have been the nice stuff out of their house, so that it wouldn't be a temptation for them in the days of Lent ahead. And so to do that, they would use up what was left over in their house of the flour and eggs and milk, and they would make pancakes from them. And that's sort of where the tradition comes from. So what we'll do now is you can see hopefully that it's sort of definitely kind of cooking through there. So we'll just sort of see if it's ready. So it's still a little bit pale underneath there, so just give it another minute or so. Okay, so I'd say we're getting to the point now where we could try and flip this one over. So make sure your fish slice is well in underneath and flip it over like that. You can see a little bit of colour coming from the pancake. And the other side should cook much quicker because obviously it's kind of cooked through. So what I do then is I put a little bit of greaseproof paper on the bottom of my plate in anticipation. You can see some of the bubbles coming through. That shows that we got a nice bit of air into that batter. Should lead me to a nice light fluffy pancake. And when it's beginning to brown a little bit on the other side, yeah, then we can flip it up and over onto the plate. And then what I would do is I would take my oven gloves, of course, to be safe, and I just put the plate into the oven to keep that warm while I cook the rest. Now what we're going to find is that now that our pan is nice and hot, the next ones are going to cook much quicker. So I'm going to actually turn down the heat on the hob, just one. I'm going to put a bit more butter. You can see that's definitely much hotter. We've got a bit of steam coming from it there. And see how much quicker the second one cooks. In there. So as I said earlier, you can have lots of different toppings, whatever you like. A lot of people just like kind of quite traditional. They would put maybe some lemon and a little sprinkling of sugar, or they might use some syrup like golden syrup or maple syrup on their pancake. I know a lot of pupils like to have Nutella on theirs as well. You can obviously make a little bit of a chocolate sauce. So you could just put maybe 75 grams of chocolate with a little dash of water and maybe about 5 grams of butter into the microwave, melt it for about 30 seconds to a minute, and it makes a nice little chocolate sauce. You could take some raspberries, some blueberries, you could put them into a saucepan or again into the microwave with a little spoonful of sugar, and just give them about 30 seconds in the microwave or a minute in the microwave, or just till they're slightly softened down in your saucepan, and that would give a nice little fruity topping. Or again, you might decide to do, I don't know, some ham and cheese or spinach and ricotta or anything like that. So I get my plate out of the oven again, another sheet of greaseproof paper. Oops. And then on again, back into the oven again while I do the next one. Okay? And then away I go again. So I'm going to leave you here now. I'm going to continue on cooking my pancakes, but you probably don't need me to show you me cooking 7 or 8 pancakes. So I'm going to leave you to finish those off for yourselves. I hope you enjoy your pancakes. Please send a picture of them and post them onto a Google Classroom so we can see all your exciting toppings and how well you've done at making your pancakes. Yeah, have a happy half term, and we look forward to seeing you real soon, hopefully in the new term. Okay, thanks everyone.